Get ready. We're stepping into the Venus love portal. And this kind of celestial energy is not just rare. It's catalytic. It arrives like a tide that pulls you inward before it moves you forward. A moment where the heart isn't just seen but scanned for truth. You can't fake this kind of readiness. You can't posture your way through it with mood boards or curated intentions. This is about the real you, the you that shows up when no one's watching, the you that responds when love doesn't come with a guarantee. Venus in Cancer is an emotional alchemist. It doesn't want promises or poetry. It wants presence. And presence isn't something you can rehearse. It's either in your energy or it's not. When this portal opens officially on July 31st, it's not simply activating romance or relationship potential. It's activating your relationship with emotional intimacy, with safety, with truth. And while the date marks the shift on the calendar, many of us have already begun to feel the emotional undercurrents changing. There's been a heaviness, a restlessness, a sense that something is coming but you're not quite sure what. That's the prelude to transformation. That's the quiet sorting before the reveal. You're not being evaluated by another person. You're being measured by the emotional vibration you've cultivated. You're being weighed not in words, but in choices, in consistency, in how aligned your actions are with the love you say you want. This portal doesn't respond to potential, it responds to frequency. And it's not open to everyone. You don't just walk through it because you want to. You enter because you've become a match for it. That means if you've been acting from fear, love won't find you. If you've been hiding behind emotional self-protection, this portal won't illuminate the path forward. If you've been using healing as a reason to stay distant or aloof, it'll bring those wounds to the surface for exposure, not shelter. And that's why this moment is so powerful. Because for all its softness and sentiment, Venus in Cancer is not a gentle force. It's a mirror. It pulls up what's been repressed. It brings to the forefront what you tried to bury with logic or avoidance. It revives the old feelings you thought you were done with. The portal doesn't offer comfort. It offers clarity. And sometimes clarity looks like chaos before it feels like peace. You might find yourself thinking of someone from your past, or being drawn to emotional scenarios you thought you outgrew. You might convince yourself that because you're no longer scared, it means you're healed. But healing doesn't always mean you're meant to go back. Sometimes, it means you finally understand why you had to leave. And this portal, in its wisdom, will test that understanding. It will place familiar emotional dynamics in front of you to see what you do differently this time. This is not a punishment. It's a checkpoint. It's an opportunity to show how much you've actually grown, not how well you've memorized the language of healing. This energy also tempts you to rescue, to carry someone else's pain, to overextend emotionally and call it love. But you are not here to sacrifice your evolution for someone else's delay. This portal will make that clear. You're not being asked to hold someone else together. You're being asked to hold yourself through the emotional waves. And that might mean choosing solitude over connection. It might mean choosing silence over reactive conversations. It might mean walking away, not because you've given up, but because you finally understand your own worth. There's also the trap of self-protection masquerading as wisdom, the tendency to detach emotionally in the name of control, to suppress your feelings so you don't seem vulnerable. But Venus in Cancer dismantles that armor. It doesn't want your performance of strength. It wants your sincerity. It wants the truth of what you feel, even if it's messy, even if it's not reciprocated. Emotional honesty is the access code to this portal, and no amount of composure will substitute for that. If you can stay present through this, if you can feel your way through without shutting down, you'll unlock a level of emotional clarity that's been trying to find you for months. And more importantly, you'll start to notice who is showing up around you. Not just romantically, but spiritually, emotionally. You'll see people appear who reflect the exact lessons you're meant to embody or release. Every encounter becomes a message. Every emotional reaction becomes a compass. This is where spiritual theory meets real-world practice. And if you think this portal is only about you, you're missing half the point. The emotional terrain you've been navigating is not isolated. It's part of a larger alignment, a greater unfolding. You are being positioned for something, not just a new relationship, but a new relationship to love itself. to how you hold it, how you share it, how you receive it. You're being asked to move beyond the performative versions of connection and step into something real, raw, and revolutionary. You may encounter someone new who feels strangely familiar. You won't be able to place it, but something about them will remind you of your past. What you choose to do next will either complete the cycle or restart it. This portal isn't just opening doors. It's running tests. Scanning your memory, your instincts, your boundaries. If you still secretly want what once hurt you, the universe won't stop you. But this time, the consequences will arrive faster, with no sugarcoating. That's why this moment isn't just about love. It's about awareness. Someone might walk into your life and feel like, finally, or like, again. And how you respond will say everything about how far you've really come. Old cycles don't always look like the past. They look like a fresh chance to choose differently. And when that moment arrives, don't focus on them. Look at yourself. This portal isn't asking for your emotional exhaustion. It's asking for your precision. Right now, people are mistaking emotional intensity for alignment. They're diving into drama, into passion, into deep conversations or spirals, trying to prove to themselves that they're doing the work. But this shift isn't about chaos. It's about sacred, intentional movement. There's a world of difference between passion and panic, and Venus in Cancer knows it. This isn't a portal that rewards overgiving or overreaching. It rewards clarity. You're not here to burn yourself out to prove you're worthy. You're here to learn how to manage your own flame. That means asking tough questions about your emotional energy. Are you truly nourished by this? Or are you just scared to release it? Anything you're holding onto out of fear is already costing you energy you can't afford to waste. Emotional burnout isn't something to be proud of. It's a warning sign that your energy is going somewhere that doesn't reciprocate. This portal is about focus. Yes, love is at the center of it, but not only romantic love. It's also about what you love creating, what you love growing, who you love becoming. If your only focus is other people, you're missing half of what this energy is offering. Your creative power, your purpose, your self-devotion, that's the other half of the magic. All of it, even the quiet parts, are part of the portal. This moment isn't about chasing intense, dramatic sparks. It's about tending to the fire that still burns after the noise dies down. That means learning to stop when you're simply tired, not waiting until you're completely drained. It means stepping back without guilt, choosing solitude without letting it spiral into isolation, and guarding your peace like it's sacred, because it is. Alignment isn't just a feeling that shows up out of nowhere. It's a choice, the decision to stop betraying your own energy over and over again. So if you're feeling scattered, overstimulated, overwhelmed like you're about to snap, it's not the energy of the portal doing that. That's your system asking you to slow down, to be more intentional, to choose what actually nourishes you instead of what drains you. You're not meant to barely survive this portal. You're meant to grow through it, to thrive. And that numbness you might be feeling, that flat, disconnected state where everything feels slow, blurry, or just meh, that's not the absence of emotion. It's emotional overload. Venus in Cancer stirs things so deeply that sometimes your body just can't keep up. When it's too much to process all at once, it shuts down to protect you. That shutdown isn't failure. It's a signal. But if you stay there too long, you miss the breakthroughs that were trying to reach you. Pretending everything's fine when it's not only delays the real work. Numbness can feel like control, but it's actually emotional paralysis. That's where real transformation gets blocked. So don't ignore the silence inside you. That quiet, blank space where it feels like nothing matters. That's where your biggest messages are hiding. There are ways to come back to yourself. Water helps. You're not just ruled by it now, you are it. This Cancer energy is deep, tidal, lunar. Let water move you. A cold shower, a warm bath, a lake, a river, whatever you can access. Let it jolt your system back to life. Let it stir something awake. And say it, the thing you're avoiding most. Not in your head. Not in your journal. Out loud. Your voice needs to hear your truth in your own tone. Say the scary words. I miss them. I don't feel safe. I don't trust this. Whatever it is, once it's spoken, the numbness starts to lose its grip. Writing helps too. Write a letter to someone who will never read it. Let it all out. The fear, the anger, the longing, the regret. Don't censor a single word. Then burn it. Let the fire take what no longer belongs in your body. Sometimes healing isn't soft or poetic. Sometimes it's messy, raw, and imperfect. And that's okay. Because when you're numb, it doesn't mean you're detached, it means you're carrying too much, alone. This portal isn't here to gently ask you to feel. It's going to push you into what you've avoided the most. This isn't comfort. It's transformation. And it's not asking for your permission. You might feel like you're falling apart, but you're not falling apart. You're cracking open. There's a big difference. This energy doesn't come for all your emotions at once. It finds the one you've been holding back for years. The one you've built your whole life around avoiding. For some, it's grief. For others, it's guilt that's been carried so long, it became part of their identity. And for many, it's that raw, shaky tenderness, the kind that's never known how to be safely held. When it hits, it won't be quiet. It'll roar. And it won't be about too many emotions. It'll be about the one that finally gets through. That one emotion you buried deep, now given space to speak. This is emotional defibrillation, a jolt that brings you back to feeling. You might cry over something that seems small and wonder why it hit so hard. You might feel a wave of emotion just by looking at someone, even a stranger. You might finally admit you were in love with someone who never really saw you, or that you've betrayed your own needs to earn someone else's approval. It won't feel like healing at first. It'll feel like implosion. But that's how deep healing works. Not through logic, but through intensity. Your nervous system rewires in those moments when your defenses collapse. Not by choice, but by necessity. That's when real change happens, in the ache, the release, the overwhelming truth. That's the grief that sets you free. The guilt that transforms you. The longing that burns through the fog. So don't fight the wave that knocks you down. It's not here to drown you. It's here to wake something up. This is how the new version of you begins, not with a soft whisper, but with the breaking of everything that no longer fits. Venus in Cancer is done letting you hide. That little emotional hiding place you always retreat to when things get too loud. It's not working anymore. The playlist that used to soothe you now feels hollow. The person you used to text when the world got overwhelming now feels distant. The food, the couch, the routine, all of it suddenly feels wrong, heavy, out of sync. You're not going crazy. You've just outgrown the old coping mechanisms. This portal isn't just shifting your relationships. It's reworking the way you regulate yourself. That old safe space was built by an older version of you. Someone who needed protection, not expansion. But now that protection feels like a prison. And that's exactly how this energy forces growth. Sometimes growth isn't about stepping into the new. It's being pushed out of what's too small for you now. You'll notice it in small, subtle ways. Music you once loved falls flat. Someone who used to ground you now drains you. The bed you sought comfort in starts to feel restless. Even your cravings change, your body pulling away from what no longer serves it. The truth is, the things that once helped you regulate are now holding you back. That playlist was a distraction. That friend was someone you leaned on before you learned to lean on yourself. That room, that comfort zone, it was built for a version of you that no longer exists. This isn't about rejecting the things that once helped. It's about recognizing that emotional safety and emotional evolution aren't always the same. You're not supposed to feel at home in spaces you've already grown beyond. Let the discomfort in. Let the silence stretch. Let the nostalgia sting. That uneasy feeling isn't a sign to go backward. It's proof that the new version of you is ready to emerge. This portal isn't interested in keeping you emotionally comfortable. It's here to make you emotionally honest. And that kind of honesty has a way of making your old hiding places feel unbearable. It pushes you to stop choosing what's safe and start choosing what's real. Some of you may even find yourselves pulling away from someone who feels perfect. Not because they're wrong for you, but because they don't activate your usual pain. There's a moment approaching where something or someone is going to feel unusually right. You might find yourself in a conversation that doesn't drain you, a connection where you don't have to perform, a stillness that doesn't make you suspicious, and your first reaction may be to run. You'll try to convince yourself it's boring, that there's no spark, that it's just not clicking. But take a breath before you ghost them, before you sabotage something that's actually good. Because what you're feeling isn't boredom, it's unfamiliar safety. Venus in Cancer isn't just about love. It's about examining how you've learned to love. It pulls back the layers and shows you the wiring behind your attraction. And for many of us, that wiring has been shaped by pain. Chaos has been mistaken for chemistry. When someone doesn't trigger your abandonment wound, it can feel like something's missing. When someone listens without trying to prove a point, you might think there's no passion. When someone offers steady, consistent care, you might start craving unpredictability, because instability is what your nervous system learned to call home. But this portal is different. It doesn't just bring new relationships, it brings emotional clarity. And clarity doesn't always feel good at first. Sometimes it feels awkward or even wrong, simply because it's unfamiliar. You might meet someone who doesn't awaken your wounds, and you won't know how to respond. You might misread their calm as boring, or mistake their care for emptiness. Not because anything is missing, but because you've never known what love without chaos feels like. You're not afraid of them. You're afraid of the version of yourself that isn't driven by trauma. The version of you that doesn't need to self-destruct to feel alive. And in this moment, many people will walk away from what they once begged the universe to bring. Not because it isn't meant for them, but because they haven't yet made peace with the part of themselves that feels undeserving of ease. Venus in Cancer is quiet, but intense. It doesn't shout, it whispers. And those who confuse stillness with emptiness may miss the very thing their soul has been craving. This portal offers a different kind of connection, one that doesn't require pain to prove itself. So before you vanish from something good, ask yourself, are you running from them, or from the part of you that finally feels safe? If you try to chase this feeling through someone else, it'll slip through your fingers. But if you hold it within yourself, it will grow. The portal has a visible path: healing, connection, release. But there's another layer, a subtle, hidden track that only a few will feel. It's the part of the energy that aligns you with a version of yourself that's already whole. Not the one trying to fix or force or prove anything. The one that already knows how to love without fear, to give without depletion, to feel without bracing for hurt. And if you tune into that version, even for a moment, you'll feel it. It won't shout. It will be soft, quiet, but real. Like the static has lifted. Like you're remembering a rhythm your heart always knew but forgot. Most people will miss it because they'll be looking for something dramatic or external. A big sign, a breakthrough, a relationship. But this isn't found by searching. It's found in stillness. This portal isn't asking who you want to love. It's not concerned with your list of ideal traits, your romantic fantasies, or the person you've convinced yourself is your twin flame. It's not about how many times you've cried over a text message or how long you've waited for closure. No, this portal is asking a far more radical question. Who are you when love is no longer around? What parts of your identity have been built around pain? Around longing? Around being let down? Overlooked? Abandoned? What happens when those narratives fall away? Who are you when you're no longer surviving love, but actually allowing yourself to live in it? The truth is, many of us have spent so long fighting to be chosen, to be seen, to be loved properly, that we've forgotten what it means to love without strategy. We've confused intensity with depth, confusion with passion, and we've called pain growth because it's all we've known. But this portal, the one Venus is opening as she moves through Cancer, isn't here to reinforce that cycle. It's here to interrupt it. There will be moments, maybe brief at first, where you'll feel strangely okay. Not ecstatic, not numb, just okay. You'll feel yourself exhale in a way you didn't realize you were holding your breath. Your thoughts will quiet, not because you found the answer, but because the question doesn't matter anymore. You won't be sure why you feel lighter, or why your body feels less like armor and more like a home, but you'll know something has changed. You've come into alignment, not with someone else, with the version of you that is no longer defined by emotional survival, with the version of you that remembers what it means to feel safe inside your own energy. And in that space, fleeting as it may be, you'll get a glimpse of love as it was always meant to be. Not an escape, not a test, Not a karmic loop dressed in spiritual language, but a state of being, effortless, soft, uncomplicated, not because it lacks depth, but because it lacks distortion. But be careful. That glimpse is fragile. It's a seed, not a guarantee. And like all seeds, it needs the right conditions to grow. If you chase it outside of yourself, it will dissolve. If you try to recreate it through another person, it will collapse under the weight of your expectation. If you squeeze it too tightly, it will slip through your fingers. Because the truth is, this isn't about recreating anything. It's about remembering. This moment gives you a rare and sacred chance to imprint what aligned love feels like. Not the love you perform, not the love you're waiting to receive, but the love that naturally radiates when your nervous system is no longer in a trauma response. The nervous system doesn't lie. It remembers everything. Every betrayal, every abandonment, every moment you reached for someone and found only absence. It holds those moments in your muscles, your posture, your breath. And when you meet someone new, it often reacts before your mind has a chance to. That's why we confuse safety with boredom, why we chase people who trigger us, why we sabotage connections that feel too calm. We've learned to mistake emotional chaos for meaning. But this portal is not chaotic. It's quiet, almost eerily so. And that silence, that stillness, that's your healing speaking for the first time in a language beyond words. That's your inner self stepping forward, not to perform, but to exist. The moment you stop looking outward to find peace and start rooting inward to feel it, that's when the portal begins to respond. That's when things begin to change. Don't miss it because you're chasing the wrong kind of magic. The flashy kind, the dramatic kind, the kind that makes your heart race but also drains your soul. This moment is gentle, but it's not passive. It doesn't beg for your attention. It invites your awareness. And if you can meet it with presence, not performance, it will start to grow quietly within you. That growth isn't the kind that's instantly visible. It doesn't show up in milestones or social media captions. It shows up in how you breathe when you're alone, in how you respond when you're triggered, in how you no longer feel the need to prove your worth to someone who doesn't see it. And this is the deeper magic, the part that most people miss. This portal doesn't stretch time, compresses it. It condenses emotional evolution into fast, sharp, irreversible moments. Things that might have taken you years to understand suddenly become crystal clear. You'll feel yourself shedding skins in real time, not slowly, not gently, but with force, like a dam breaking after decades of pressure. You may wake up one day soon and realize that you no longer relate to the version of you from just a few days ago. You'll look at your recent journal entries and cringe. Not because you were wrong, but because that level of pain no longer resonates. You'll reread an old message and feel nothing. Not anger, not hope, just neutrality. And in that neutrality is a power stronger than any closure. Understanding. When the fog lifts, when the story makes sense from a higher place, you stop needing apologies. You stop needing the past to validate you. You simply release it, because now you see it. And this kind of clarity creates its own ripple effect. You start pulling away, not from love, but from anything that no longer matches your pace. Some people will feel too slow. Some environments will feel too dense. Certain conversations will feel like regressions. You'll feel called to simplify, not out of avoidance, but from discernment. You'll want fewer distractions, fewer voices, fewer projections. You'll crave truth, stillness, authenticity. And yes, this might confuse people. They'll say you've changed, that you've grown distant, aloof, maybe even cold. But what they're really sensing is that you're no longer available for their version of you. You've outgrown the emotional architecture you built just to survive. The part of you that used to bend, dim, accommodate, and perform has collapsed. You are no longer willing to negotiate your peace for temporary connection. You've entered a new frequency, and not everyone can come with you. There's no going back now, not really. Not after this. Not after you've felt what true alignment tastes like. You might try. You might revisit something old just to see if it fits differently. But you'll know immediately it doesn't. Can't. Because it was built around a version of you that no longer exists. That's the beauty and the grief of transformation. It doesn't ask for permission. It simply happens. And once it does, you begin to see how much time you spent searching for things that were never meant to stay. How often you tried to prove your worth to people who couldn't hold it. How many stories you told yourself to survive what you now see so clearly was never love. It was a reflection of your own pain. But here's the most important part. None of this is meant to make you bitter. This portal doesn't awaken cynicism. It awakens wisdom. It doesn't harden you. It refines you. It clears the debris from your heart, not to leave it empty, but to make space for what's real. And what's real is never rushed. It doesn't manipulate. It doesn't ask you to abandon yourself. It meets you where you are because you're already enough. So if you feel yourself shifting, good. If you feel a quiet urge to retreat inward, follow it. If you find yourself less reactive, more observant, more emotionally spacious, honor that. You're not losing your passion. You're not becoming cold. You're becoming whole. And in that wholeness, love flows differently. It's not something you seek. It's something you are. And if you've made it this far, thank you. Thank you for listening not just to these words, but to yourself, to your intuition, to the part of you that knows something big is happening, even if you can't explain it. If this resonated, trust that it did so for a reason. You're not late. You're not behind. You're exactly where you're meant to be. This portal is still open, but not forever. It's moving with or without your participation. If you choose to meet it as your whole self. Let go of the chase. Let go of the projections. Let go of the belief that love must hurt to be real. And instead, allow the quiet moments to show you the truth. Your truth. That you are lovable not because someone finally said so, but because you've remembered it for yourself. Let that memory anchor you. Let that softness grow. And until next time, take care of your heart. Let the quiet moments guide you home.